Welcome back to another segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. Today I'm going to be giving you a bit of an overview of the recent Cherry Blossom Festival in Marshfield, Missouri, who I got to visit with, share just a few little clips, and hopefully you'll be able to make it to one of these events one of these years. The Cherry Blossom Festival is really one of the most unique events I've ever attended. They have celebrities from classic TV shows and movies, and they also have descendants of presidents and other political figures and prominent people within the community and people that you may not know their name as a household word, but they've done remarkable things and they get featured, and there's wonderful panels and dinners, and there's just all kinds of things going on. There's crafting sorts of things happening. I believe there was a pie baking contest, and there's just so much going on that if you are doing one thing, you're missing 10 other things while your event is going on. But I had a wonderful time and got to catch up with some people I knew, hadn't seen for a while, and also meet some wonderful new friends. For those of you, and I know many of you are also big fans of Little House on the Prairie, they also have things like a Laura Ingalls Wilder home and museum tour, and they also often do like a Nellie's breakfast because Alison Arngrim is there and other members of the cast. So that is usually a fun event also. It was fun. I was catching a connecting flight in Dallas-Fort Worth, sitting, heading towards my connecting gate, and all of a sudden someone goes, "Judy." And I look over, and there's David Doremus, who, of course, played G.W. Haines. And he was sitting there waiting for the same flight. I didn't know we were going to be on the same flight. And then as we sat chatting, then David Harper showed up. And then shortly before we started boarding, Martha Nix, who played Serena, and Tammi Bula, who played Marsha Woolery. So the five of us were on this flight, or four of us. How many is that? I can't count. I'm sorry. I just got off a plane, 3 hours of sleep last night. It's crazy. But that was the beginning. And we arrived and we drove to the hotel we were staying, and the weekend began. On the Thursday, I participated in a luncheon. They had a luncheon in honor of Carolyn Grinnell, who many of you will be familiar with. She was responsible for starting the Walton fan club that helped bring everybody together after the first opening of the Walton Museum. So at that luncheon, Tammi, as we call her, Christine Bula, who played Marsha Woolery, sort of emceed it and asked each of us cast members to come up and talk a little bit about a story of Carolyn or what she meant to us, and then also share one of our favorite or some of our favorite moments from the Waltons. So I grabbed a few little clips of that. David Doremus shared some thoughts.
But when I came onto the set, the very interesting thing about the Waltons is that you walk on and you were instantly family. Not even a question. They just said, come on in. Oh, okay. Like I was around the hill, the GW lived on the mountain there. And it's like, okay, well, you're one of our neighbors, you're a love interest or whatever it might be. And that's the way you're accepted. And I truly believe that all of the actors that came on to the Waltons got that kind of invite. And of course, David Harper, I walk on and he comes running over to me, "Oh, Dave, you're here." And it's like, okay, who are you, little guy? Which now I can proudly say he's my little brother. So, but he hung around with me every time I came to the set, and of course, was excited. And again, it's always nice to be accepted.
David Harper shared some thoughts.
I have a lot of favorite days. One of them you alluded to. Came in one morning, I'm looking at the call sheet. Oh God, Hal from Nanny and the Professor's going to be on our show. Hey, of course, I knew who he was. To me, my favorite days were when our favorite actors came. Like anytime Lynn Hamilton worked with us, it was a great day. And any day Earl would come down and just, it was a great day.
Martha Nix talked about her experience, and then Tammi asked her to explain a little bit about her nonprofit, A Quarter Blue, that helps victims of abuse and traumatic experiences. Wonderful work she does.
So my favorite episode, so Keith, who played my brother, Jeffrey, We had a love-hate relationship because we were 11 and I think Keith would have been 9 or 8. And Keith was just a spitfire and everybody loved Keith. Not so much me some of the time. So which made me a little bit jealous and a little bit like, why can't I get the attention that Keith gets? So my favorite episode was when I was getting my badge for, I don't know if it was called Girl Scouts, but it was the equivalent, where I got to wrap Keith up from foot to head in gauze and shut him up for one final moment. So that's my favorite.
Tammi shared her thoughts.
My first day on the set, because I had no idea who I was going to work with, why I was even there. I had a script. And I got a part. I was so excited. I had never been on film before. I had only done theater. So I arrive early so I can see what they're doing, so I can learn what to do by watching. And then I was wondering, who's playing John Boy? Who's this guy I'm going to kiss today? I have no idea who he is. And then I saw a golf cart pull up. And there's a guy on it, and he's got overalls on, so he must be in the show too. And then he stands up and turns around, and I said, oh my goodness, that's Richard Thomas. Wow, I wonder what he's doing here. Then he asks a question, and the man he asks the question of turns around and points right at me. I said, oh my gosh, he's pointing at me. Oh my gosh, Richard Thomas is walking towards me. Oh my God. Richard Thomas is John Boy. Oh my Lord, I'm going to kiss Richard Thomas today. And I almost fainted.
And then I also shared a few thoughts.
Burning the house down. That night that we all stood outside on the back of Warner Brothers Studios lot, we never had so many visitors on the set, ever. People heard that we were going to be doing this night sequence, setting the house on fire. People around the studio, people showed up that were connected with the studio or whatever, and we had this all these people watching us as they set fire to the house, and that was just so intense. It wasn't like, oh, I got to figure out how to play this scene. I'm acting now. It was very real, and seeing my father and my brother run back into that house because my sister is still in there and, waiting out there. So it was very intense. That was quite an intense scene. Nobody was ever in real physical danger. The flames were contained. But we did do a lot of running past live gas jets running up the walls of the inside of the house, those sets, which were very narrow. So those were the daunting things. So days like that, or fun ones, horses. I'm a horse person. Always been. It was a costumer on the Waltons who introduced me to riding and jumping. And when I was like 15, she took me out. I met her horse. I met her trainer. I started taking riding lessons. And so whenever I got to get on a horse, and when we did the horse race, Mary, I don't know if she's ever forgiven me because she doesn't like horses and she's allergic. But I had the best time filming that. I got to go to work every day. I always wanted to do Westerns because I wanted to go to work every day and get on a horse and run around. And I got to do that for a week. So that was good.
After the luncheon, we went into another space, and Martha sort of interviewed me. She asked me various different questions about my life, career, and things like that. And so we had just a lovely chat for the people who were attending that event. And Tammi also emceed that event. And then I was presented with this amazing Earl Hamner Legacy Award and had an opportunity to talk about what Earl meant to me in my life and how honored I was to receive an award in his name. And I'm so proud to be doing what I can to carry forward his legacy with the Waltons, something that I and the rest of the cast are all so proud of. Then on Friday, it was a day of meet and greet and signings and getting a chance to interact with all of the wonderful people who came out to see everyone who was there. And I wish I had some footage of the day, but I was pinned to my signing table for the whole day. I had a chance to go kind of say hello to a couple people, but normally there's some time to go and move around and shoot some footage, and I just didn't have a chance to get it. So I can give you, this is the lovely program, and I can give you a list of some of the people who were there. Patrick Duffy from Dallas, Linda Purl from Happy Days in Matlock, Mary Badham from To Kill a Mockingbird, Jerry Mathers, Leave It to Beaver, John Provost, Lassie, Greg Harrison, Trapper John M.D., Clint Howard, and of course our Walton cast that was there, me, David Harper, and then Tina Cole from My Three Sons, Sheree J. Wilson from Walker, Texas Ranger in Dallas, Brett Huff from The Rookie, Jeannie Russell from Dennis the Menace, Allison Arngrim from Little House on the Prairie, Carolyn Grimes, who was Zuzu in It's a Wonderful Life, Charlotte Stewart from Little House on the Prairie, Mimi Gibson, 110 Dalmatians, Cindy Greenbush from Little House on the Prairie, Jenny Lee Harrison from Three's Company in Dallas, then Martha Nix from the Waltons, Tammi Bula from the Waltons, Pamela Baird from Leave It to Beaver, Gigi Perot, who is a legendary actress and has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Ray Toller from Home Alone, David Doremus from the Waltons, Bo Donaldson from the Haywoods. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And that's just not even all of who was there. So I did get to go and say hello to some of these people. And then that evening, a number of us gathered for another function. The very first year I attended the Cherry Blossom Festival, Mary McDonough had been, and I believe Cammie had been, and I was asked to come, and I went, and I was actually presented with this Edwin Hubble Award for Initiative. And I was so honored to get that. And this was like 2013. So every year they have new honorees. Mary Badham was presented with an award. Linda Purl was, and Clint Howard was. And there were 5 or 6 just remarkable people that I got so engaged in listening to their wonderful stories that I totally forgot to shoot more pictures for you. So I'm sorry. I was a terrible emissary for the Cherry Blossom Festival and just didn't get enough footage, but I did want to share a little bit. They have a wonderful Facebook page, and they have various different photos and some footage of some of the events that went on there. I was part of a panel discussion one afternoon with a majority of the actors who were there, and just everybody had a few words to say about aspects of their life and career. And that entire video is available on the Cherry Blossom website, and we'll put a link up for that as well.
Hi, everyone. I am here at the Cherry Blossom Festival in Marshfield, Missouri, and I'm here with Jim Anderson, who has been attending the events today, and he said he would be willing to share a little bit about what the channel means to him.
Absolutely. Well, Judy Norton, I tell you, when I stumbled on your series on YouTube, I got hooked to it because I was a longtime fan. I still am, and what you've brought to the table to share about your experiences as a young actor with working with this incredible ensemble of actors and telling those wonderful family stories from a very important era of American history, I really took to heart. And it was so interesting to hear your stories of behind the scenes, the fun you had, the learning experiences you had with these marvelous people. And now when I see an episode of The Waltons, I remember Judy talking about that and Judy telling me a story about what was going on behind the scenes. So I just greatly appreciate all you've shared with so many people. You've taken your role of Mary Ellen to another level that is going to preserve this wonderful series for many years to come and many audiences in the future. So thank you for that.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed this little overview and a few snippets from my time there. And it was so wonderful to spend time visiting with David Harper, David Doremus, Reen, Tammi Bula, and Martha Nix. Martha and I sat up the night before I left and just in my room, and we just talked until like 2. And I have to pack. I have to get up in 3 hours and get a flight home. So, but it was so nice to have time with the cast, as it always is. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time for more behind the scenes of the Waltons and more Ask Judy. And I was trying to cook up maybe some future special guests while I was there. I was talking to some people going, hey, you want to come be a guest on my show? So hopefully I'll be able to materialize some of those aspects soon too. So see you next time. Thanks for watching.